We're here with my 1989 Jaguar XJ-S V12 5.3 Coupe. Following a visit out to Silverstone Festival yesterday, which was excellent, we noticed that the air conditioning was no longer functioning as it ought to. It started off working okay, and then it just stopped working, and all we were getting was mildly warm air being blown into the passenger compartment. And if anyone knows these cars particularly well, it doesn't take much to make the interior of the car really hot really quickly, particularly on a sunny day. Here we are in the engine bay. So a lot of the components for the air conditioning system reside under here. Just to stress, this is a 1989 model, which means it has the Delaney 3 HVAC system within the passenger compartment, and under the hood or the bonnet we have here, there's a few key components that we can see. The first one is this one here. This is the Harrison A6 air compressor, air conditioning compressor. And just to the side you can see I think it's a high pressure aircon valve, and also over here the low pressure side of the system, I believe. Anyway, what I was able to do when we got back from the festival yesterday was just pop this cap off and put a gauge on there just to check, see how much refrigerant we've got in there. And it was fine, because that was my first suspicion, right? The aircon suddenly stopping working was maybe the gas has got too low. This system has been converted to the R134A compliant gas. It's had that conversion. Previously this would have been the R12 refrigerant, which is the Freon, I think it's called, which is now illegal in the United Kingdom, well, certainly for automotive purposes. Has been for a number of years. So we've run the R134A conversion since, it's probably a good 15 years. Anyway, I digress. We was able to check the pressure, and the pressure was absolutely fine. We've not suffered a major loss of refrigerant, which would have caused the compressor and the system shut down. So, given it such a sudden change, we then began thinking, well, what else could have possibly triggered that? Well, we could have had a leak in the system somewhere, but again, the fact that we've got a good pressure in there suggests perhaps not. We had a look just down here. We've got a receiver dryer. That's all fine. No evidence of any issues around there at all. There's a little inspection hole there as well, just to see if you can see any air in the system, because it should be liquid. But no issues there at all. So I was able to start up the system. And again, no aircon, it's working, but there's no air conditioning, it's just blowing warm air. So suspicion then turned to, well, why is the compressor not firing up? It's got a magnetic clutch. So you can see here we've got the belt, and the magnetic clutch means it just kicks in and out as and when this is required to compress the R134A gas. But interestingly on this, the 1989 model, and some of the other ones, I think perhaps from 87, but don't quote me, under this little panel here, there's a couple of relays. One for the horn, the other one for the compressor. So my current best thinking is that perhaps the relay for the compressor has failed, thus preventing the compressor from the magnetic clutch at least from engaging. So that's what we're going to check next. I'm going to take this little panel off here. So there's a few posi drive screws here, and then I think one test I'd like to do, knowing that the horn works, that's an MOT requirement. I've tested it, it does definitely work. The requirement is we'll make sure that we swap the relays over. Okay, so the little panel's removed now, but if I just bring some light to bear and bring the camera around, hopefully just down here, you can see the, there we are. This is one of the relays. This is a HEL 12 volt 4RA, and then the serial number on it is 003 510-33. And if I come across over here, this is meant to be the same, and sure enough it is. It's got the same number on it. I'll remove this relay, remove this one, so essentially swap them over, and then start up the car and see if we can actually get the aircon compressor actually working. So let's go and try that now. So let's just remove this, disconnect this relay. So it should, if I support the bottom base, this yellow bit here I'm holding, I should just be able to pull the black part, which is the relay just here, should just be able to pull it free, and you can see it's starting to come away already. Little wiggle, there we go. And there's only a way to really orientate that, so I'm not going to memorize the pattern or anything like that. So okay, so despite some confusion around the relay functions, I've been through documentation. It still seems to intimate that one of these relays is to do with the horn. I have actually swapped them around successfully, started the car, and have been able to get quite a reassuring click from the compressor over there, whereas yesterday I was getting nothing. So I'm going to let the car run a little while, bring her up to temperature, and then meanwhile have the air conditioning set to minimum and also the fans on maximum, and we'll see what sort of temperatures we're getting. Well, I've certainly been around the houses with diagnosing this potential air conditioning issue. So let me bring you up to speed of what's happened and how I can save you some time. Firstly, after more checking, both of the relays actually turned out to be fine. The air conditioning clutch was kicking in just fine. So I don't understand how yesterday it didn't seem to be doing that, but now it is. So that's first point. The air conditioning compressor magnetic clutch is engaging and disengaging appropriately, which is good. The other thing I checked as well was, because I was still getting some warm air even after that, was this here. So this spherical thing here with a hose on top, the black hose with the yellow stripe, I suppose is it's best described, is the heater matrix valve, and you can probably see one of the coolant pipes, the blue coolant pipes feeding in here. There's an arm just down there, so you can see probably a screw and an arm, and that's currently in the open position. So if I was to start the car up now and put on the heating, it would stay in that position, and we would get heat coming through. So what happens when you then change the settings on the Delair 3 or even a Delair 2 system to demand cold air, i.e. engage the air conditioning, then what will happen is a vacuum will build from the HVAC system, and that whole arm will pull up and it'll go all the way up to the top, closing the heat valve, thus allowing the air conditioning, or more appropriately the evaporator, I think it's the evaporator, to do its job. The evaporator coils cool down the air so it's nice and freezing cold, hitting the passenger compartment. Still have no air conditioning or cold air at this point, having just tested that valve. So the last thing was to go and recheck the air conditioning gas pressure. So you can see here the valve for it. I've got its cover on at the moment, and what I was able to do was use my kit air conditioning gauge just there, and what I was able to do was literally go ahead and connect that. It just clicks on, and this time the engine was running, and on the gauge, if I just bring this around, showing 20. So if you just look down here, there's 20s around here, so that's quite a complete contrast to 60. But the 60 was the at rest position. When the actual system was engaged, it was going all the way down. So when I say engaged, that's the aircon being demanded and the engine running. it went all the way down to 20. So I ended up having to top up, and it is possible to get some gas cylinders. There's 3 of these, empty now, but I was able to, I always carry a few of these. This is the R134A replacement for charging, and that will just screw into the opposing end. You see this tap fixture here, and that means it's possible to release the contents of this into the aircon system. So I have 3 cans in here, or did have 3 full cans in here. There are now 3 empty cans in here, and what that did was to allow the reading, the actual reading, to go from 20 all the way up to, I think it's about just shy of 50 I got in the end. So fully gassed, or as gassed as you're going to get with using the canisters rather than the professional equipment, which I would normally recommend. So having done that, jumped back in the car, and we had nice cold, ice cold air conditioning, which is great news. So I'll take the win, and I can only think what's happened is when the car went in for a service, normally the guys are pretty good. They usually check the aircon and regas it. I'm guessing for whatever reason that wasn't done this time. I certainly wasn't charged for it or anything, so there's nothing improper going on there. It wasn't on the invoice or anything, so I can only assume it got missed, and as a consequence it's now, up until about an hour ago, it would have been probably a year, maybe even longer, 1.5 years since it's been regassed. Now these systems can be quite porous. Yes, it is possible to get some air conditioning hoses made up and even have a replacement set up, but if you're running the standard system with the Harrison A6 compressor and the R134 gas conversion, 134A gas conversion, then they reckon potentially you're losing about 20% of the refrigerant volume every year. So assuming we've had 1.5 years of it not been done, that would explain why it would have gone from 50 all the way down to 20, notwithstanding any subtle leaks that I'm not aware of. So there we go. I guess the proof of the pudding is to actually run the car, and I've got my handy temperature gauge, and I'll demonstrate the effectiveness of the fixed air conditioning. Okay, let's check some vents. It's now on maximum heat. So on here, about 30.6, around 30 degrees. 29.7, 31.1, 28.8. If I go down and get the footwell reading, which is down here, I pointed down there, 42 degrees, and then if I do the other side as well, yeah, 46. So the test is now to go and change that all the way round the dial, round to freezing cold. So we'll let it do its thing. The vents at the top here are now on 20. I'm going to increase this up to high. It certainly feels nice and cold. Perhaps not quite as cold as the S-Type, but broadly comparable with the Jaguar XJ-40. Let's do a quick temperature check once more. So far side vent, still 20 something. Oh, here we are, 19, starting to go down, 19 degrees on this vent. This one, 20, 19, depends where I point. 19, there you go. 19.1, and then on this one, if I try this, oops, yeah, only a couple of degrees out. Footwell, yeah, that's coming down a bit. Well, it was. Then we'll try this one again. Where are we? I'm pointing at the right place. Yeah, there you go. So, in conclusion, not freezing cold, but a lot blooming colder than what it was previously, so I'm quite happy with that. So job's a good one. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you appreciate this slightly convoluted troubleshooting guide on the aircon, and hope to see you for the next one. Thanks a lot. Prologue, let's just do some temperature readings for the car. Bearing in mind the lowest I've got in the passenger compartment was about 17 degrees. Let's try doing some temps from here. Over 90 degrees. Oh, hang on, there we go, stabilising a little bit. 90, so look at the intakes. Intakes are about 50, 57. Let's look at the compressor. Compressor showing about 89. Other intake over there, 64. So look at the receiver dryer, 50, about 40 or 50. Brake fluid, 34. Airbox, 50. You're getting the gist. It's pretty warm under here, hence the fans going. The radiator coolant, relief pipe. Yep, pretty hot, I think it's fair to say.